Hey guys, so I want to put together a blog post for structuring a running warm up. So we'll talk about the reasons why you do want to do a running warm up, and then how you would structure it, the kind of blueprint that you would follow. So I know that can be time consuming to try to do your warm up. You're just trying to squeeze in your miles maybe in the morning. You don't have a lot of time to dedicate to it. So a lot of people don't have 15 plus minutes to do a warm up. But it is really important for a multitude of reasons. The main one is probably improving your performance on your runs. So we'll get into those reasons and then what you'd want to do. But first, I just want to let you know that I put together a book, a free report called The 7 Guidelines for Running Pain Free. So there it will be a link in the blog post, and there's a link on my website if you guys want to go download that. So now, the reasons why you want to do a running warm up. First, we want to raise our core temperature and blood flow. So you want to get the blood flowing to the muscles so that they can be more easily called upon to act properly. So a lot of people use their warm up, like maybe use their first mile or two as a warm up, and that's not really the best thing to do. This first couple miles, you're going to feel tight. You're probably going to feel be a little bit slower. So you want to get the blood flowing beforehand. Also, you want to slowly ramp up your heart rate as well, and the warm up will help do that so that you can get your heart rate up from your resting rate to your active rate, so that it doesn't have to take that time in the first mile or two to try to get to that new baseline of your active running heart rate pace. So it's a lot more efficient, and you'll feel a lot better going into your run if you get your heart rate up. Third is injury risk management. If you feel a little inflexible, then you might be a little more prone to injury, but more likely the thing is it's going to leave you at risk for overuse injuries if you don't properly activate things like your core or your glutes, because if they're not working properly, then you might compensate in other ways, and certain muscles or ligaments, tendons might take up the slack from maybe your lack of glute strength and glute activation. So that's another reason why you'd want to warm up and focus on specific muscles that you're going to call upon in your run. Fourth is improved performance, and it's basically similar to what I just mentioned, that we want to call upon the muscles that we're going to use to generate, like our glutes are going to generate power on our push-off. And then it's also important to have good quad strength, good calf strength. You want your core to stabilize your pelvis as well as the muscles on the side of the hip. So we want all these things working, and we want to get them integrated beforehand so that the first few miles, again, are more optimal and you're going to have a better pace then. So let's get into the blueprint of it. So this is the 4 steps that we kind of follow. You want to do them in this order to get the most out of it. The first thing is to do a little bit of light cardio. So not something that's like going to kill you. Again, it's not like you're going out and running your first mile or 2 miles. You just want to do like 5-ish minutes of maybe a light jog, maybe even just a walk, a little bit of cycling or jump rope. Jump rope's really good because it gets the calf muscles working really well too. So I like to use that one. And then that's just going to kind of mainly work on this increasing blood flow and core temperature, getting blood flowing to the muscles so that they're a little bit more flexible. You don't feel quite as stiff. Number 2 is stretching. And I put in dynamic and static. So there's nothing really wrong with doing static stretching. Some studies used to say it's bad, it decreases performance. But since then, we've kind of found that that's not really true. Maybe if you stretch your hamstrings for 2 minutes straight and then try to immediately do your best vertical jump, it's probably not going to be the best jump you have. But it's definitely okay to do that so that you can kind of access ranges of motion. For example, if you can't get your leg behind you far enough in your stride, then you might want to stretch out your hip flexors a little bit so you have access to that range of motion. So you can do static, you can do dynamic, whichever thing you see the most change in the short term, because these are mostly going to be short-term changes anyway. then kind of stick with whatever you feel like works for you. So a lot of times stretching out, again, the hip flexor, the calf muscles, those are the main ones that you want to probably focus on. Stability is number 3. So we spend a lot of time on one leg when we're running. We want to kind of get our body used to that before we go out and start running. So something like a floor touch, or this is typically called like a single leg deadlift, but essentially you're just going to stand on one leg and keep your back leg from your heel all the way up to the top of your head in a straight line, and you're just going to hinge at the hips. So what this is going to do is kind of get the core ready. You got to prevent yourself from rotating. That's going to be your core working to prevent movement, which is stability, is the prevention of movement. And then the muscles on the side of your hip, the lateral glute muscles, are really important in preventing your hips from tilting. You want to keep them level as you run. So that kind of attacks those muscles too, gets those ready. For core specific strengthening or stability would be the dead bug. I really like this one because it mimics like a running pattern or gait pattern. You lay on lay on your back, and then you put your arms and legs straight up in the air, so you look like a dead bug. And then you let your opposite arm and leg drop out, and then you bring it back up, and then you do the other side, opposite arm and leg. So it's like a crisscross pattern, similar to how you run. Left leg goes forward, right arm comes forward, and it keeps your core. It works on your core muscles to prevent your low back from arching. That's the main focus of that exercise, is preventing your low back from arching. So again, creating some stability in the hips and the core muscles. And then lastly, number 4 is strengthening. You want to do some strengthening to work on the muscles that are going to be your main generators of power. So the glute muscles, the quads, the calves. Some examples here: walking lunges. These are great for quad, working on the quad strength. You'll probably feel them in your quad a little bit. And then also you might feel them in your glute a little bit. More focused on the glute bridges are good. Again, getting that feel for squeezing the glutes and contracting them, because that's the most important muscle that you're going to use to bring your leg behind you. If it's not working properly, then you might compensate with your hamstrings or your low back, which kind of will get a little bit of overuse in those muscles. So they may get tight, achy, irritated. And strengthening exercise, you don't want to go super heavy on them. Just something you can kind of feel a little bit of a pump to those muscles, because we don't want to tire them out. We don't want to fatigue them so that they are not able to be called upon in our run. And actually the last thing is just go out there and run. Go out and crush your run. You'll probably notice a difference in your running pace, especially from the get-go. You can probably get to your normal pace earlier. I bet you'll feel a difference in your performance if you'll run through this, which will probably only take you about 10 minutes if you're pretty efficient about it. If you like this, then go ahead and share it with your friends. But thanks for watching.